That, of course, was the opening track, or a portion of the opening track, from Black Sabbath, the self-titled debut record. That is from the Rhino High Fidelity edition that just recently sold out. I finally did receive that. I'm filming this on Saturday. I received it on Thursday. I've listened to the record twice. I have compared it against an original Warner Brothers green label that I do have right here in my hand. This is actually a Terre Haute. And I would say that this record, looking at this again, is probably in very good to very good plus condition. I don't have any ticks, I don't have any skips. I do have a little bit of surface noise, mainly in between songs and not on every transition. So what I will say about the Rhino High Fidelity edition is it's fantastic that they have gone and redone that, and Kevin Gray has done a great job on it. As by and large, everything that Kevin Gray touches these days seems to be almost a home run in most cases. I will say, though, that my original pressing, and let me preface all of this by saying I've never heard the UK Vertigo cut. Whether that's a UK proper or a German pressing, have never heard that at all. So, in that situation, or in this situation, it's actually a good thing, because I'm talking about apples to apples. So the new Rhino High Fidelity edition, they used the original master tape from the US tapes. Those were originally mastered the first time at Artisan. Maybe by Bob McLeod. I'd have to dig further into that, which I haven't done. But man, where was I going with this? I was going to say that if you don't have a Vertigo or a clean original Warner Brothers green label, the first label that the record came out on, with those first plates, then by all means, congratulations if you have ordered, and maybe you're still waiting for yours to arrive, the Rhino High Fidelity. Unfortunately, it has sold out, so I don't know what's going to happen as far as the resale market is concerned. I haven't checked that yet. I'm sure there's probably some already up on eBay and Discogs, but what I will say is that it is fantastic that we have a nice, modern, clean sounding record. And when I say clean, that's kind of what is in the back of my mind on this pressing when I compare it to this original. And I really notice there are some advantages to having a clean sounding modern pressing. First of all, my copy, the vinyl is dead silent. I don't have to worry about any surface noise that you may, be concerned with a 54-year-old record at this point in time. The other thing is, there is a lot of clarity. There's a lot of separation that you hear listening to this new Kevin Gray cut. One thing that comes to mind, one passage that really comes to mind that I think sounds better on the Kevin Gray cut is side 2, A Bit of Finger. All of that kind of cymbal work that Bill Ward is doing, it just kind of has a better clarity with the Kevin Gray cut compared to the original. There's a little bit of washout with the original there, a little bit of congestion, let's put it that way. I will say that the Kevin Gray cut, to my ears, It's very close. It's very close to the original. I think the original just edges this thing out just by a hair. The original is cut a little bit hotter, and it's just got a little extra oomph, a little more drive, a little more presence. It's an incredibly well recorded and engineered record. You know, reading the new liner notes, there's an interview. There's an interview with Tom Allum, who was one of the engineers on the original recording. And we have some pretty cool pictures of the actual original, the U.S. master tape. But, you know, this thing was recorded over 2 days and mixed over another 2 days, and that was it. It was done. I will say the packaging on these Rhino High Fidelities are consistently outstanding. This is, you know, very similar to those Tone Poet jackets. And we get a gatefold too, which is great for this version, compared to a single sleeve that we had for the US version with the track listing there on the back on the original. Colors, you know, kind of interesting. I in this case, this has got a little more of a deeper imaging. The tones are a little more deeper compared to this. So not sure how they transferred this image or reproduced the image, but I will say this really is beautiful. This heavy gloss cover in a gatefold package. You know, it's going to look great on anyone's shelf, and just top-notch quality. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of shootouts in the future. I'd love to see a shootout between the new Rhino HiFi, the Warner's green label, and a vertical cut. So, you know, people out there watching, I'm looking forward to people. I'm looking forward to watching those, and I'm sure they will be coming. But for me right now, I'm going to give the edge to the original. If you have a clean original and maybe you missed out on getting the Rhino HiFi, I don't think you should be too worried about it unless you are an Uber collector and it's just an itch you had to scratch. You know, check out the resale market. But if you have a clean green label, original pressing, a US pressing with that artisan cut, with that artisan symbol in the dead wax, man, it's just a great sounding record, and I had forgotten how good this thing sounded. I paid about $40 for this pressing over a year ago, and I got, you know, pretty lucky to find this thing in the condition that it was. You know, the jacket is basically kind of VG-ish, but the important thing is the vinyl, of course, and I just showed you that. It sounds great. It looks good. So there you have it. I don't regret buying the Rhino HiFi. I was very curious, and it is just almost there as far as, you know, it's almost neck and neck with the original. So those are my initial impressions, and I wanted to kind of maybe start this video out by talking about that, because I'm sure people have questions in their mind as far as what I thought. That's what I think. I want to move on and talk about the kind of state of my system right now as we stand here on, or sit here on June 1st of 2024. I put out a video at the beginning of the year. I had a plan that I wanted to kind of throw something into my mix here, into my chain. And I wanted to look at putting in a little Tube Phono preamp, a Phono Stage. I have a vintage Macintosh MA6100 integrated, which sounds great, but I always had thoughts in the back of my mind, what would it be like to kind of throw a little Tube Phono Stage into the mix here? And is that worth exploring? I did a lot of research online, and I looked at 3 different units. I was looking at the Tavish Classic from Tavish Labs, and I was looking at the Deckware ZP3, and then I was also looking at the Hagerman Audio Labs cornet. They also do a trumpet, which is the moving coil version. The cornet is the moving magnet. I ended up picking up the Hagerman cornet, and I'm about a week in on this unit so far. I'm loving it. I am noticing differences. There's all these cliches like that warm tube sound, but I'm kind of picking up just a little more oomph, a little more. I don't know what it is. A little more presence. It's hard to articulate, but I think, especially on well-recorded records and well-engineered records, a lot of jazz things that I've been listening to sound incrementally better. Like, I can notice a difference, and it's a cool-looking unit. The other thing that helped me decide, it actually turned out to be a pretty easy decision. The Deckware ZP3 has over a 1-year wait list. And the Tavish Classic, I emailed the owner of Tavish, and he couldn't tell me, he's got some labor issues, he couldn't tell me when, I would be able to get one of those Tavish Classic Tube Phono Stages. He said it would be at least 6 months, and he couldn't even, guarantee that I would have something in 6 months. So, it's almost the middle of the year. I've been looking into this for 2 or 3 months and researching and, going back and forth. So I pulled the trigger. And like I said, very happy so far. It was also nice. The Hagerman cornet unit happened to be the lowest cost of the 3 options I was considering. So it came in at $589, free shipping. I put an order in. First, I emailed the guy there. First, I emailed the owner and asked if he had units available. He did, and I kind of ran him. I told him what I had in my setup, and he said, "No, this would be a perfect, solution for you, and I think it would make good sense." So he was a good salesman, obviously, but I went ahead and pulled the trigger. Very, very happy so far. Now, a couple other minor things that I have, or I'm in the process of doing. We'll talk about that too. I have a vintage Thorens TD145. It's very, very similar to the TD160, if you know that unit from Thorens. The nice thing about the TD145, it has auto stop and auto lift at the end of a side. So you don't have to constantly, get up at the end with a full manual situation and get that tone arm and put it back in place. So auto stop, auto lift is fantastic. And I actually picked up that Thorens on the Steve Hoffman forums classified section. And the thing that kind of caught my eye was the seller told me that it had been fully reconditioned and gone over at Vinyl Nirvana. There's a gentleman, Dave, I can't remember his last name, but he's based in New Hampshire, and he is a Thorens expert. And he's always reconditioning units and has them for sale on his website. He also has, odds and sods. And one of the things I was looking at and reading some forums somewhere, people started saying, hey, what are you using for your mat on your Thorens? And, when I bought the unit, it had this cork mat. And I never really kind of gave this too much thought. But in reading that forum, people were talking about the original rubber mat that came with, as a standard, default option with these units when they were sold. And Dave at Vinyl Nirvana happened to have reconditioned original rubber mat. So I now have that rubber mat, and I think it looks better than this cork mat. And everyone says that the sound quality is better. So I know this is, we're going down kind of rabbit holes here when we're all talking about sound, but I picked that rubber mat up and haven't looked back. I'm happy with that so far. The third thing I'm looking at doing, I'm in the process of doing. I actually just pulled the trigger on this. Kreitz speakers. Bob Kreitz was the founder. He passed away in 2021. That company is still going strong. But Bob Kreitz was a lover of Klipsch horn speakers. And as you know, I have Cornwall IIs. But the Cornwall IIs that I have are circa 1986. And I keep seeing photos of different Cornwalls that have, small risers. I didn't have any risers. So I did notice that Kreitz on their website offer a very reasonable riser. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on those. Those are going to be here, I think, on Monday. So looking forward to kind of getting these Cornwalls up. We're only talking like 3 or 4 inches, but I think that it might make a little bit of difference, and I think there might be, a little bit of an improvement in the bass response. That's what I've been reading on forums as well. So, going to get those off the ground slightly, and, I'll give you an update on what I think about that in the future. But there we are, June 1st, Saturday. Some initial thoughts on the talk of the vinyl collector world right now. That thing sold out so fast, it's really interesting. Congratulations to Rhino. Congrats to Steve Westman for actually being named as a thanks in the credits, because Steve really pushed the powers that be at Rhino to get this done, and it's great that we have this available now. If you were lucky enough to pick one up, but like I said, if you have an original, that U.S. original, or if you have the Vertigo, I'm sure you're going to be happy with that. But it's nice that Rhino are choosing some interesting titles. I'm curious to see what's coming down the road with them. And congrats for choosing a title and seeing that thing sell through so quickly. So that is it for today. Those were my thoughts on the Black Sabbath self-titled debut record, the new issue that's come out, and a little bit of tweaking I'm doing with my system. I'm loving this little Tube Phono Stage. My thinking there was I have it's a solid state system, and let's take the load off of the onboard Phono Stage into Macintosh, try something different. So far I'm loving it. The thing was very simple to set up. You take your interconnects from your turntable, put them into the inputs. I'm using, I have another set of RCA cables from Morrow Sound in Kentucky. Everything's working great. Came with some cool tubes, some Mullard tubes. Maybe I'll be a little adventurous and go down the whole tube rolling rabbit hole. Drop a comment if you have any recommended tubes that I should try with this little Phono Stage. Or if you have that unit, let me know in the comments too. Would love to hear your feedback. Take care, everybody, and we'll be back pretty soon with something new and different. Have a great weekend.